everyone, welcome back to another continuing education check-in. Today is super exciting. We're going back to the basics and we're revisiting first moves. And today we're talking about how to make the first move. And so in the past we've talked about who should make the first move. Oh man, I can't even remember which episode that
now
was.
Now we have too many.
It's like one of the very first, like episode 5 or 7, something like that. And now we're finally going back and we're going to tell you how we think is the best way to get things going with someone that you're interested in. To just get us started, how do we even tell if someone is interested in us? We talked a little bit about this last episode, but then also how much like interest should you show if you're starting to get to know someone, you find them interesting.
Right. I feel like, we talk about this a lot. Like we give these little tips throughout our other episodes, but just to put them all in one place and sort of talk about them in an organized way. I think that when it's time for us to show interest in somebody we like, and like, let's say we don't know if they like us back, I think it's really about doing small things. Like they can be very well thought out things. Like, even a single text can be well thought out, but it's not like you're laying your whole heart on out on the line and you're sending like a love letter and being like, do you take me or not? You know?
Yeah.
So you can be thought out, but your actual actions that the other person sees are like small things. Like trying, like, I don't know, like making eye contact with them more, or like in a room full of people, like you're like meeting their eyes more than other people's, and like laughing at their jokes like a little louder, or like just finding like moments of like, just giving them a little bit more attention than everybody else.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, and I think if I were to summarize all of those in showing interest in general, I think that you are making an effort to make a connection. Yeah. And so trying to start a conversation with them in person, through text, laughing at their jokes, asking about what's going on in their life. Yeah. All of those are efforts to connect with them somehow. And I think that's all fair game. Like if you are just getting to know someone, you find them interesting, you find them attractive, like you said, you don't have to just jump into the deep end, and you just ask yourself, what are ways that you can get to know them better that don't feel very burdensome or high stakes. And
the nice thing about doing these like small little actions is like it gives you the like chance to like analyze, like, okay, how's this person reacting to like the extra attention I'm giving them? Are they kind of like, discomforted? Are they like running away from it? Or are they like leaning into it and also giving me more attention back? Yeah. And that helps you answer the second part of the question about like, is this person also interested in me?
Yeah. Yeah, because the things that we just described, if they're also interested, they're going to be doing it in some way back. And the hard thing about all of this is that, let's say you're interested in someone first, and you start showing them like attention and more than like with other people. And then if they reciprocate, then you kind of have something to like jump off of. Yeah. And I think a lot of people, including myself, like even if that happened, then the tricky part is like, okay, how do I actually like get the ball rolling? But then sometimes like you're showing interest and putting in effort to try to get to know them, and they're not reciprocating. And then the question becomes, do I even have a shot? Like, is it worth trying to escalate a little more and trying to make a move versus, I actually need to shut this down. And so maybe like we can discuss how to tell if you should keep trying or if you should actually pull back and stop trying to make a move.
Right. I think a lot of this sadly comes down to like you reading the person in front of you. Yeah. And Ethan, while you were explaining like, how the other person has a chance to like respond to what you're putting out there. I was just thinking about like, those like people pleasers, those nice people out there that are like unfortunately sending out like mixed signals. It's like, as somebody reading the signs, they'd be like, oh, they are talking to me back. They are replying to every single text. Like, they are making plans. They are hanging out. But then it's just like the other person might be looking at them for like romantic signs.
Yeah.
Whereas you're putting them out as like just friendly signs, and that's like a really tricky situation. I don't really know how to like make like a very clear distinction of like knowing one way or another.
Yeah.
I think the best thing to do in that case is if you're putting out signs and they're reciprocating them, is like, that's when you, like Ethan said, get the ball rolling and you have to take a next step.
Yeah.
And that's the point where you decide like, oh, maybe this person was just a friend, because you put the word date in front of them and they're like, oh my God, like, sorry, maybe we misunderstood the situation.
Yeah. So I think this leads us into actually thinking about what are the best ways to make a first move. And we've talked about this in the past on the podcast, but I will die on this hill that if you have known them already, let's say you're in school with them, you guys work together, or you guys just have been friends for a while, or are even in the same circle, so maybe you don't know them so well, but you kind of see them consistently. If you're in a situation like that, where you will just naturally run into them, I think that the best thing to do to get the ball rolling is to talk with their friends.
Okay.
And like, it's that situation in and of itself can be a little tricky, because you don't want to become closer to the friend than them.
Right.
But I think the key is talking to their friend and asking their friend if they can ask if that person is interested in dating right now.
Right.
If this person would be interested in going on a date with you.
Okay.
And it doesn't have to be like if I asked a girl and I was like, hey, can you ask your friend if she's interested in dating me? I wouldn't ask like that. It would more be like, are there any guys that she would be interested in?
Yeah. Or like, what's her type? Like, do you think she'd talk to me? Like,
yeah. And also, like, is she single? Is she even looking for a relationship?
Right.
But then also, like, one of the questions could be like after I asked, like, are there any guys she's interested in, like, our volleyball group?
Right.
Then maybe the next question is like, oh, what do you think about Ethan?
Yeah. Okay.
And maybe ask the friend to ask about multiple people, just so it's not
throw
so
your
obvious.
Name in the
yeah,
mix. Okay.
Exactly. But I think that way is so effective, because you're getting to know what they're thinking, and that way you don't have to make a move without knowing.
Yeah. Okay. Like
exactly
some of the
what can
uncertainty is
happen.
gone a little bit.
A lot of the uncertainty is gone.
You're more reassured and you can act out of more knowledge and stuff.
Yeah. And in the past, when I have been asked out, I think that if the person had just asked my close friends before,
right,
it would have been way smoother.
Okay.
Like, they would know. Like, if I had said, oh, yeah, I'm interested in exploring this, then my friends could tell them exactly, like, what is the best way to ask me out?
Okay.
Or what is a good first date idea? Or this is like Ethan's schedule, and he might not be good at replying to you right away, but like, this is the way to do it.
Like, the friend becomes like the wingman in that situation, sort of.
Yes.
Like a messenger between both of you to help things. Okay.
And like, even asking someone to get that information for you, it's a little intimidating. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
But just remember, you're not trying to ask that person out. I actually, like, if I put myself in the wingman's shoes, like if someone came up and asked me, I think I would be more than happy.
That's true.
I wouldn't feel burdened because
you don't really have stake in it.
Yes, and I also want what's best for my friend.
Right.
So, at the end of the day, it's my friend's choice. It's not the person that you're asking. So even if you don't know them very well, I think that obviously first time meeting them, I wouldn't say, hey, can you ask your friend if they're interested?
Right.
But like I would get to know them a little bit. But I don't think you have to. It's something you could ask early on, and just say, hey, I think your friend is really interesting, and I was wondering if you could just help me figure out where they're at.
That's fair.
Yeah.
And in this case, you don't have to be friends with the wingman. You know, like the wingman, you could just know that these two people are friends, and you can strike up a conversation with the friend without, because like you said, the friend's trying to get what's best for their other friend.
Yeah.
So they're like, oh, this girl's like confident enough to come up to me and like even bring this up. Like, let's like see what she has to say. Yeah. And you're like the first filter that she passes through before she makes it to your friend. Yeah. Okay. I think that's very good advice for how you should make a first move with a friend. Yeah. I think there's definitely other ways you can go about it also. But they take a little bit more. You have to like try to be a little bit more brave, I think, when you do that.
Oh, can I hear what you're thinking?
Okay, so like if you like somebody that you know, I think some things that you can do is, well, like, okay, besides the initial, like, you know, you're putting out feelers and seeing if they're feeling it, I feel like to actually make a move, like, I feel like language is so important. Maybe sometimes guys don't realize it, but girls get hung up very much on like the word choice. So like, you know, using the word like let's go out on a date versus saying let's go get something to eat. Those are like two, like I would go get something to eat with just about anyone. Like it doesn't matter because you're my friend. But like if somebody says like, oh, like do you want to go on a date? Like that puts like a different context on things. Yeah. And then that's when I get to actually decide like, oh, do we like this person? Do we not like this person? And that's like your first step of like getting the ball rolling. So I think just different, like being specific with your word choice and asking very specific questions. Yeah. Which the downside is like you could hear answers that you may not want to hear. But I think focusing on your language and asking those tougher questions in like a low stakes way. I don't think it's very intense to ask somebody like, hey, do you want to go on a date? Like that's how it happens out in the wild, you know? Like you're out there, you meet somebody, you're vibing, and then it's like, oh, would you want to go on a date like tomorrow or whatever it is? And like, because it's like you're not here to make friends with this other person that you're interested in. You're here to see if they're interested in you back. Like there's no point in dilly-dallying and like, you know, stringing along and playing this like fun line of like, oh, we're friends, but we like each other. Like there's no point. Yeah. It's better to just like cut to the chase and figure it out one way or the other.
Yeah. And I think building off of having good word choice, I think that getting into a relationship, of course, everyone feels pressure behind it, and it feels high stakes, even if we're saying sometimes it's not. Yeah. But it should also be fun, and getting to know the person, and this whole like beginning process should be enjoyable and shouldn't feel like business. Yeah. And so I think even the words that you choose, having things be lighthearted and flirty, I think that helps things a lot. Yeah. So like just like fun things like, oh, I really like your outfit. Do you have any tips for like what I should wear on a first date? Or something like that. And like, oh, are you seeing anyone right now? Like, oh, you're single? Like, I wouldn't have thought that. Tell me about that, you know? Yeah, true. And so those, like, just being a little more flirty and relationship focused in how you talk will help the whole thing feel a little more intentional, but then make it a little more playful for the other person, so that if you do make the first move and ask them out, it doesn't feel like there's no build up and it's just out of the blue. Yeah. I think I was asking Ethan for advice on this like not too long ago, because I tend to like, when I mean business, I tend to just like, you know, like use the businessy words. I'm like, hey, we need to talk. Like, I have a serious thing I need to bring up and things like that. And like already that language is like alarming for somebody else to hear. So like if you are somebody who struggles to like have those
like to try to be playful when you feel the stakes are high. I think it's good also to try to talk to a friend who, you know, like can help you like adjust your language and can like help like lower the stakes for you so that you can enjoy it more. Because you're right, Ethan, like this is like the chase, like, you know, pursuing somebody, that beginning part.
Yeah.
This is what everybody talks about. Like a lot of people, you know, when they say they're just in it for the chase just to see if they can get the other person, this is that part. It's supposed to feel good and feel fun to get the other person.
Yeah. And I'm just throwing this out there. I don't really know what I would say, but let's say you're watching or listening to this podcast and you don't feel very confident or you don't have a lot of riz and you're not exactly sure how to be playful and flirty. Do you have any recommendations for that person?
So I actually saw this happen live this weekend, funny enough. A group of us were out and about, and this one individual that we were with, he just had like girls coming up to him like left and right.
Wow.
But he was like, you know, like shy, like tech boy, like his personality was very like shy, like can't really talk, like no riz, like you said, kind of low confidence. But because we were out with this big like group of people, so we went to this first place and girls came up to him and like he just like dropped the ball, like he didn't know what to do. And then we went to another place, and between the first place and the second place, everyone else that was out with us started to give this guy pointers. Like, hey, when she comes up to you, say this, like ask her to dance. Like, you know, these are the words you should be using. And I think just being a quick learner, this guy, like when we got to the next place and as usual, somebody came up to him, he was like on top of it.
Wow.
Like, so I think the advice would be if you don't have the confidence and you don't have like the riz, I think it's get advice from your friends who do have the confidence and who do have like, you know, who spit good game for lack of better words, and then just like without even thinking, like implement it. And like don't worry about if it doesn't feel like your most authentic self and stuff like that. Like I think I know so many couples that have stories of like, oh, like when I first met you, like da-da-da, I remember like, I don't know, this dress that I was, or like I wasn't supposed to be out this night, but like this ended up happening and we ended up being together. Or like when I first met you, I was going for your friend, but here we are, you and me are together. So like it doesn't really matter if your first like 0.0 interaction is like perfect. Not perfect, authentically you.
Right.
So I think you're allowed to kind of take on the persona of your more confident friends and just like,
I think one thing to kind of reassure everyone listening right now is that relationships are messy and they're unpredictable but that's part of what makes it really beautiful. And so I don't think that there's one right way to do things. And I do think that when you're with someone and you guys both want like a serious relationship, you want it to go somewhere, you being a little awkward on the first interaction is not going to scare them away.
Yeah.
It's going to scare away people who aren't as serious, and depending on what you want, that's more or less okay. But it's okay, like even if it's a little awkward, don't think like the sky's falling, the world is like coming to an end.
Like take the pressure off yourself.
It's okay, like it could just be something funny to look back on and laugh about. But I want to, like from my experience, even if the first time is a little rough, if that person likes you, they're still gonna like you.
100%.
And that's more of like you guys have been friends first and they've seen you like in other situations.
But also even with strangers, I will put this out there, even if you're meeting somebody for the first time, one thing that you should know, like sure, like let's say I'm sitting here right now and I have this list of like 10 things and you have to have all of those 10 things in my ideal world. If I meet you, even if you're a brand new person that I bump into, if I just like feel the vibe is right, and let's say you don't have like 4 or 5 of the things on that list, I'm not going to care.
Yeah.
So like I think that's what Ethan is trying to say, that like don't put so much pressure on yourself, because if like the person in front of you actually likes you and actually has interest, like they're not going to care about all these tiny little things that seem like make or break to you.
Yeah, that's right. And then I think just a few more tidbits of advice. So let's say you yourself, you don't feel super confident, you don't feel like you have a lot of game. To the people listening, that is something that you can change.
Yeah.
That is so don't ever feel like you're trapped in that. But to you guys who feel that way, I would say compliments go a long way. Mm-hmm. So use compliments, but of course don't like bombard them with compliments. Not one.
Don't be simpy.
But like if you don't know what to say at the beginning, starting with a compliment is really easy, and let it transition into like some kind of conversation topic. And so say like, oh, I love that necklace that you're wearing. Where did you get that?
Yeah, something
or
specific.
Do you know a good place I can get jewelry? And then also, this is hard for everyone, and it's like a journey, but we want you to grow in your self-confidence. So just remind yourself, like when you're getting into these situations, you're a stud, and you're a great person. You have great personality. You have great qualities, and other people will find you attractive. Tell yourself that before you go out. And then I think the last thing that I want to say is just have a few questions like in your pocket that you can use to start a conversation with anyone.
That's very good advice.
Something like, what gets you out of bed in the morning? Or what does the ideal weekend look like for you? Or like what would your friends ask you for advice on? And so like all of those things, very low stakes, just getting to know them, but it's very easy like conversation starters that can lead to a really great conversation overall. So just have a few of those in your back pocket.
Yeah, I just want to echo what Ethan said there. Like how you talk to yourself matters a lot more than you think. And just be nice to yourself, and it's just going to translate. Like whatever's supposed to transpire the way it's supposed to is going to happen. Yeah. But have confidence.
Yeah, and you're worthy of love.
Yeah.
Okay, so I want to transition back to something that you mentioned, Sania, about how you're interested in someone. You're not really sure how they feel back. At that point, you should be doing something. You shouldn't wait too long.
Yes, 100%.
And so we talked a little bit about how to get things rolling with someone that you already know who's a friend. But then this also applies to strangers, people that you meet, and you have to kind of do something in the moment. Otherwise, you'll probably never see them again. And so I wanted to touch on that a little bit. And we've talked about this, like how to cold approach a stranger. But let's say we had to make a move right away. What are our recommendations when we're in that situation?
If you're already talking to a stranger and you're like, okay, they're about to leave, you have like a time limit or not a time limit, I think especially if they're a stranger, it's easier to just like bite the bullet and be like, and just say the thing and be like, oh, like, can I grab your number? Maybe would you want to go out sometime? Yeah. Such an easy sentence to say. Yeah. I think people are so used to hearing that sentence that like it doesn't even like scare anybody anymore to hear that. It doesn't feel like high stakes. And then that way you just know. And with a stranger, it's like super way low stakes because like with your friend, you know, you're kind of like what is this? Like, where does this leave the friendship at the end of it all? But with a stranger, you're kind of like either do you want to date me because I'm not here trying to be friends with you. You know, so I think just saying the word, biting the bullet, and just like waiting for the result is the best way.
Yeah. Just remember that if things don't go like super well, you never have to see them again. And then also the hardest time is the first time asking someone that, like, can I get your number? Do you want to go out sometime? Once you do it the first time and you realize like, oh, even if they said yes or no, like it's actually good either way. Like you can go on with your day and there's no expectations. The next time it's gonna be a little easier. And so don't be afraid to do that. And I think another thing is that when you ask someone for their number or to go out, you're not committing to a relationship or you're not like, don't start like making a story in your head or like thinking about the future. This is just someone who you have the opportunity or there's potential to get to know better. And so maybe you do go out with them, maybe you do text them, and you find out like there's no real romantic connection. That's all good, and you can move on. There's no hard feelings, and this is just like the initial step to get things rolling. This is not anything high stakes at all. And so if you're listening to this and someone is asking for your number or asking you out, of course, if you're not interested in them at all, if you've seen them not have a good personality, you don't have to say yes, but at the end of the day, this is a very low barrier thing.
Yeah, I totally agree.
If they're like being annoying and stuff, you don't have to text them back. You can block them.
Or you can give them a fake number.
Wait, no, that goes against everything I just said.
Well, if you don't like them right away, like, because sometimes people are like very persistent and annoying.
Yeah.
Like even before you give them the number, like they're not annoying on text, they're just annoying about wanting your number.
Okay.
And you've already tried to politely be like, oh, I don't text that much, like some out of pocket lie, which like who says you don't text that much,
Yeah.
Obviously she doesn't want to give you her number.
Yeah. Okay, but let's say you don't know very well. Like even if you did give them your number or your Instagram.
Oh yeah, you can block, dude.
Yeah, so like just it doesn't have to be such a big thing.
Oh yeah.
And it shouldn't, not at the very beginning. And you can give people a chance, and
I agree.
it's just to see where things go. Okay. I want to talk about things you shouldn't do, though.
Yeah.
Like making a first move.
Well, I kind of started talking about it. When you're asking somebody for their number, if they are not jumping on top, like on the idea to do that and like trying to give you their number or trying to be like, oh, do you want my Instagram? Like if they're not offering things up or making it easy, like a lot of times, like I'm like a people pleaser and I like, it's hard for me to say no. So I like do it in like hidden, like nice ways. And I'll be like, oh, like my phone's broken. Or like I'll try to come up with excuses. If you hear somebody coming up with an excuse for not giving you their number, they probably don't want to give it to you. And at that point, you should back off. Like that is your first move. Don't keep persisting and keep asking. Be like, well, can I get your Snapchat then? Or could I get your this? And like, what about your email? And it's like, no, like if they wanted you to be able to contact them, they will help you make that possible.
Right. And then that isn't just with numbers. Like if we're asking for a number, if like you run into them in person, you're trying to have a conversation with them, they are telling you like they need to go get a drink first.
Yeah.
They're not interested. They're being polite, but if they're not like actively reciprocating in the moment, you have to let them go. You can't try to push anymore.
Yeah.
I think when you make a first move, you should never talk about liking or loving someone. So especially if you've known them before, it shouldn't be like, hey, I don't think you should say I have feelings for you or I like you. Like, do you want to go out sometime? Yes, you might feel that, but to be honest, to you and kind of calling out everyone who thinks like this, which was me too, if you haven't dated them, you don't really know if you like them.
Yeah, you might just like the idea.
You like the idea of them, you like personality traits or character traits of them, which is good, but you don't actually like them yet. And so you find them attractive and that's enough to go off on. But just to keep things low stakes and not to like blow things out of proportion, I would not say that. I would focus on being flirty, being clear about asking them on a date, and then leaving it at that.
Yeah, I 100% agree.
Yeah.
Let's think, because I think there's a lot more to learn from the things that you should not do rather than the things you do. Because the things you do is like your game. It's like whatever fits your personality, whatever way you flirt best. But like more so focusing on things you shouldn't do, I think you shouldn't single people out in a crowd. I don't think that that's there's been situations where like I'm with like literally a group of people and somebody will approach the group without pulling me aside and be like, oh, hey, like, da-da-da, I saw you from over there. I was like, da-da-da, wondering if I could get your number. And like, that just feels so scary because like, first of all, you're asking me this question and like, I don't even get to decide for myself. Like maybe I did want to say yes, but because you asked in front of like all these other people I was with, I was like in my head more because now there's like an audience to whatever happens.
Yeah.
And I think that that's just not a good idea. I'm not saying like prey on people and like go find them when they're alone, but like you should find your moment and like not publicly announce, because then at that point you're like publicly announcing that you like someone, and that just feels really intense for like like a first move, like asking someone out. Do you disagree?
I go a little back and forth. I think if I were to approach a group, I would want to like have some small talk with all of them.
Yeah.
And just like this, like I know I'm a stranger, but like this is my name, like this is why I'm here.
Yeah.
And
then you hone in on your victim.
but sometimes it's really hard to get them alone. And
that's true.
I think it might be worse in the moment to try to
get them alone,
remove them from the group.
Okay.
But I think making everyone comfortable is pretty important, because I think if you just go like line drive, just start talking to one person, maybe
that's true.
Maybe
because like maybe I'm like being a little biased because I had a bad experience with this. Like we were in Hawaii, like on the beach with my friends, and this guy like came up to us and he did what you said. He talked to everyone first. Oh, what are you guys doing here? Oh, spring break. Okay, so nice. And then he was like, oh, like, da-da-da, I saw you. And, like, I think that part is where it got creepy. Because then when he was talking to me, it wasn't just, like, general anymore. And I get it. If you wanted my number, you could just be like, oh, blah, blah, blah. Like, okay, well, if you guys ever want to hang out, like, could I get one of your numbers? Like, and then maybe point it at the person you want or something. A little bit more subtle. But this guy didn't do that. He was in front of, again, everybody. And he was just like, oh, blah, blah, blah. Like, I saw you on the beach. And, like, you look so, like, really creepy.
Yeah.
Like weird. It was going in like a weird direction. He's like, oh, can I please grab your number? And then I just like froze, and my friends were awkward too, because like they're stuck in this conversation that they don't want to be in anymore. Like it's very like obviously turned into a one-on-one thing.
Yeah. And
so like now they're awkwardly just lingering around. Like they're stuck. I'm stuck because I'm like, and I think it was extra icky because I just wasn't into the person. But not making, you know how you said don't say you like them when you're asking for their number? You could just say something low stakes again and be like, oh, like, da-da-da, there's this, like, really cool, I don't know, like...
restaurant.
Yeah, down the street. Like, I can send you the address if you want. Can I have, like, do you want me to text it to your number?
That's super smooth.
Yeah, like, just saying something like that. And, like, obviously, the girl will know that, like, you're not just trying to text her the address. Like, you're going to have her number later on, like, to text. But just, like, make it feel easy, you know?
And building off on that, another don't go into all of this without a plan. Yeah. And so, and this goes more into, like, an advice thing where if you would like to take someone on a date, your chance of success gets boosted, like, I don't know, 10 times. I don't know. When you make a plan. And so you're having a conversation and you ask, like, oh, what are your favorite foods? And then she's like, oh, I love pasta. I love sushi.
Yeah.
And then it would be like, hey, I know this great Italian place and I would like to take you there on a date if you're down sometime. And like that shows that you take initiative, you know, like, and the place well, and you've explored, and then you're also capable of making a plan. So you just come off a lot weaker if you just say, hey, like, do you want to go out sometime, as opposed to, hey, I would like to do this with you. Yeah, the more specific you are, the easier it is for the person to say yes or to say no, you know? Yeah, or give you feedback and say, oh, I'm not so into pickleball, but I would love to, like, play tennis go
instead.
To the park, or take a walk. So
totally. Instead of just making it general, be like, hey, we should do something sometime.
Right.
It's like, okay.
Yeah.
Do what? When?
Right.
Like, you know? It feels like you care more when you do that. But care more in like a not a creepy way.
Mm-hmm.
Do we have any other don'ts?
I think for me, those are the big ones. I don't have others.
I'm just going to throw this one in there as just like advice. I feel like you should not try to introduce somebody that you're just starting to talk to all of your friends. Mm-hmm. Right? I don't know how you feel about that.
I totally agree.
I just feel like it makes it awkward because, again, you're putting your friends in like an awkward situation and then you're confusing the person as well.
Yeah.
In terms of like, what does this mean and stuff like that? Because that's like pretty much, that's almost like telling somebody you love them on a first date. You know, that's like a step that comes a lot later.
Yeah.
So that's like a first move that maybe you shouldn't do. Yeah. Unless it just like casually happens, like you meet at a party and like they've already met all your friends because they're already there. Like that's fine.
Yeah, I think you mean them meeting your friends, right?
Yeah, like as in a more like formal way, like.
Right, but then your friends should still know, like, oh, what's going on, and they can give you advice. And yeah, for sure.
And I think the biggest don't, which goes back to our first episode, is don't let your affection be mistaken for friendship. Like, never ever let it cross into that boundary because then things get so messy and like it's really hard to come out with anybody winning at the end of that. Like everyone ends up usually getting hurt in those situations. So make sure if you're making those first moves, like make it very clear that their first moves like in terms of like romantic relationship and not friendship.
Yeah, I love that.
Even though it's confusing sometimes, and sometimes you are like, oh, maybe I could date them, but if I can't, I still can be friends with them.
Yeah.
When you're actually pursuing them as a romantic interest, do it like that.
Yeah.
Use those words, like, keep it separated.
Don't let your intentions be unclear.
Yeah.
I think especially for the guys out there, that is one of the most unattractive things a guy can do. Even if a girl finds you attractive, when your intentions are not clear, it's a turnoff. Because it's like, how does he really feel about me? Is he is he talking to me just because it's convenient?
Yeah.
Does he actually find me interesting and like me?
Yeah.
And it's just confusing. So I just spoke to the guys, but girls can do this too. And so the do is to, if you're actually interested and you've seen enough, to just be clear. And being clear is not like, oh, I like you. Being clear is, I would like to take you on a date and get to know you better and continue this conversation about
whatever. Yeah. I agree.
Wow. I think that's a good note to end on. And so now we're bringing back our old thing. We haven't done this in a long time.
Yeah, we haven't.
Profile review. So we have a new dating profile, and we're going to go through it, give some of our thoughts as we go through it, and then give any tips that we might have. And so I'm gonna pull up the profile right now. We're going back to Hinge. So here's his profile, and we're just gonna swipe through starting from the first picture.
Okay. I really like this first picture.
Yeah, I think this is a great first picture.
Yeah, amazing lighting, natural makeup, like, I really like it. She has like a jersey on or something. No comments.
Yeah. We're totally okay with the selfie.
As a first picture. Okay. Definitely.
And then we're also okay with like not a big smile.
Say it again. We're totally okay with not a big smile. Yeah, I agree.
Okay. How do we feel about like not having a big smile?
I think that's actually like pretty welcome. Like I feel like she's putting her back. Like I'm not into the big cheesy smiles.
Yeah. I was gonna say that. To be honest, like I've never seen you actually smile on like any Instagram picture or anything.
That's so funny.
So I can see that. I also don't think it's a big deal.
Yeah.
I agree. This is a good first picture. Okay, so next one, typical Sunday football.
Okay, kind of matches with the jersey that she was wearing in the first picture. It's like, makes sense. You want her to say more?
I want something more. I want you to use this and be playful with it.
Okay.
A one-word answer to a prompt is just very limiting. Because
what if the one word's like it leaves so much room for people to like come in from all different angles? Like, oh, what's your favorite team? Oh, like, are you going to a bar and watching? Or are you watching at home? Like, no?
Right, but the only people who can play off of that are people who enjoy football too or know enough to ask those questions, like, who's your favorite team?
Right.
But for example, you enjoy football. That is fantastic. Mm-hmm. But are you an athletic person? Do you like to play too?
Okay.
Or do you just like to watch? Do you like other sports? And so some way, like, tying in, like
maybe more details.
Yeah, just to, like, give me an idea of you are a super sports person.
Okay.
And
yeah, I think
because this is just way too narrow.
I think reading it, I just assumed, like, football Sunday, so I just thought like watching football. Mm-hmm. But you're right, if somebody doesn't watch football or anything like that, it could be like, what do you mean football on a Sunday? Like, are you out there in the park playing like flag football? Like, I don't know.
And maybe she's super athletic, and that's why she likes football, because she used to play or something.
Yeah.
But she also likes other sports. Mm-hmm. That can help start a conversation if someone is looking at this profile.
Right.
They don't like football, but they like other sports.
Okay, fair enough.
No. Okay, so now we see some of the stats. Mm-hmm. And so I think this is all really good. It's pretty detailed. Mm-hmm. We've talked in the past about the long-term relationship, open to short. Mm-hmm. But I think she's just casting her net.
Yeah, that's true. Mm-hmm.
So I really don't have any other comments about this.
I have no comments either. I like that she just said computer science teacher and not like all the details of like where is she teaching and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's the right amount of detail to omission.
Yeah. I guess if I were looking at this profile, the one thing I would be wondering is, so she's listed Buddhist here. Mm-hmm. And so I think I would just be curious exactly what she's looking for. Okay. So, like, is she also looking for someone who's Buddhist? And so I would be looking, the rest of the profile would be looking for hints about that.
Okay. Because, I remember, Ethan, we talked about this in one of, like, our old profile reviews. And, this was advice that I, like, took and, like, I applied, about, listing your religion in there. But I do think that it comes across as, like, when I see religion in other people's profiles, it comes across as, like, oh, are they looking for someone of their same, like, why did they put it on there? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay.
And that's a good trend, or, like, you can listen to our episode on religious differences.
Yeah.
And how to think about that. Okay, so this is the next picture, and
I think really nice picture again.
This looks like a great first picture.
I feel like I like that she saved like the smile with teeth for later on. Like, I feel like you almost have to earn that smile. You have to like work your way down to it.
But like in the past, you've talked a lot about the first picture being the model picture, the catch me.
Exactly, and I think the more model pictures like without a smile, it's like you're cool. You're showing like your cool side, whereas this one's like, oh, friendly, like this is what you would show your mom, like, hey, this is who I'm talking to, mom.
She feels very warm.
Yeah, like this is her, like, this is her picture, like this is what you would show people and be like, oh, this is my girlfriend, like this is her. Does that make sense? Have you heard that before? That this is her picture?
No. Wait, can you
it's like it's like the picture that like your boyfriend will show his mom, or your he'll show his friends if they haven't met you yet. Like they'll go on your Instagram or whatever and be like, oh, this is my girlfriend, this is her.
Yeah.
You wouldn't show the model picture as like, hey mom, I'm dating this girl with no, like, who's smiling with no teeth, because it doesn't look friendly and warm and inviting. Right. So that this is her picture is like the friendly, warm, like girl next door vibes.
I think I would want this to be the first picture.
Ethan likes this picture too much, it appears.
Because this one is just like, it's just a perfect picture.
It is, but I feel like it's giving away too much. Like somebody who's just like, on like Hinge and stuff, you swipe, you can just swipe since the first photo. You wouldn't want to give it all away in the beginning. I like that you have to, like, work your way down to it.
Hey, okay. That doesn't make a lot of sense to me because I don't think she's giving it all away. I'm like, oh, this person has taken a really nice picture, great setting, very warm, inviting. I want to learn more about her. I want to learn, like, if, like, what she's into, and you're not giving it all away.
Okay, fair enough. It's just the first picture has better lighting, and, like, as, like, my brother's into, like, IT tech stuff, and as, like, the AI bots say, if you have better lighting, if the picture is brighter, it, like, will catch more eyes and attention. So this one's just, like, worse lighting, and so that's why I'm preferring to keep it lower.
Okay.
Yeah. But I agree with everything else you said about it.
Okay, I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow, next one.
This is not a stuffed tiger, right? This is real?
Yeah, she's with a real tiger.
That's insane. I want to be her friend.
Yeah, that is insane.
Wow.
I think this is fantastic. It's
Amazing.
a very, like, good picture to start a conversation.
Yeah, I was just going to say, you can say a lot about that picture.
Yeah.
And it shows, like, her personality. Like, not a lot of people can say they've just, like, petted a tiger casually.
Yeah, just out of curiosity, if you were to, like, respond to this picture, what would you say?
Okay, a thing that someone could say is just, like,
you're a little dangerous, aren't you?
Or you know how to tame those big cats. Like, I don't know.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
you know,
that's
like,
fun.
she can take control. She can, like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Or just, like, or you can even go, like, the vanilla route and just be like, oh, where was this taken?
Nah.
Do you travel a lot?
That's way too vanilla. You know how many, like, of those messages she's getting?
That's true. Oh, that's true. You want to make your message stick out.
Yeah, you need to be playful.
Or you could be like, is that your tiger? Like, can I meet him? Like, say something, like, so, like, random and, like, out of pocket. And, like, it's like, who owns a tiger? But, like, maybe she does. Like,
yeah. Like, my tiger's still a baby. Any tips?
Yeah. Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah. Dang. Okay. The way to win me over is I'm ambitious, uncomplicated, and adventurous. Match that. Okay. My initial question is, what does uncomplicated mean?
Yeah, I got stuck on uncomplicated as well.
It's just very ambiguous.
Yeah, and I feel like
it's a little complicated.
And I'm just like, where is this coming from? Has somebody called you complicated in the past, girl? It just carries a lot. Yeah, I would, like, change the word choice probably for that word.
Yeah, uncomplicated can mean many things.
Yeah, you can say ambitious, straightforward.
Yeah, it can mean, like, you're not weird. It can mean you're not crazy. It could mean, like, you're very flexible and not, like, super set in your ways.
Yeah.
So
you could use different words. You say that, I don't know, something about, like, that you always speak your mind, or you're simple, or you, like, you say what you mean always. Like,
I don't take things too seriously.
Yeah.
I like to go with the flow. I'm spontaneous.
Yeah. But the other ones are good. Ambitious, adventurous. Like, she wants someone that can do these things with her.
Yeah.
And that is goal-oriented, which is great.
Yeah, totally.
We have...
Okay, so she's trying to show the adventurous side more.
Yeah, which is cool. I like that. I like that the focus is, like, the nature and not her body. That's great.
I feel like this picture, I'm sure, like, this is, like, an adventure or something, but she's just standing on rocks. or that's water.
I think that's
water
like, might be the ocean floor.
But,
you know, on, like, low tide or something?
To me, like, this is not a very effective picture.
Okay.
Like, to convey that you're adventurous in something, it would be, like, an action picture.
Okay, that's true.
And this is, like, first of all, like, she's very small. Like, the scale is a little off to me.
Yeah, you have to, like, really squint to, like, see her.
Yeah, but, like, maybe she did, like, a fun pose, like a handstand or, like, a jump.
I like that, actually.
Close-up.
Maybe replace this with, like, an action shot.
Okay. Next one.
I like the diversity that we're seeing. You know, we're seeing the adventure-y photo with, like, you know, you're down to get dirty. But then we're also seeing, like, the put-together, very, like, dressed up to go out for dinner vibes.
Yeah.
So I really like this picture. Again, the lighting's, like, doing its thing, so that's why it can't be a first picture. Yeah. But I think I like it.
Yeah.
No comments.
the only thing that I want to say right now is in the past we've made comments about how there should be a picture like showing your whole body.
Yeah.
But I think like the way that she's chosen her pictures so far, I don't really feel like I need to see that. Like I feel like
I think I have a good idea of her body. Like
right, yeah.
Yeah, I think she's done a good job at like showing everything without making it very in your face.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I love like how versatile the pictures are. Yeah. Okay, my simple pleasures: coffee, reading, naps, hiking with my dog and daughter. Okay, so I guess in the stats, we weren't able to scroll through the stats.
Okay.
So that's where you would put if you have a kid or not.
Okay, so we don't know if she put that or not.
Well, I guess we can take a quick look. Yeah, so it would be further down here.
I see, okay.
But how do we feel about this?
I think if she did put it in the stats up above, it's cool. I think I would maybe rearrange the order. Like perhaps put your daughter like higher on the list.
Like put this prompt higher on the list.
Oh, no. The prompt is fine where it is.
You mean put the stats higher?
No, because the stats are always at the top, right?
They're like the second.
Yeah,
right?
That's fine too.
What do you mean put your daughter at?
Like, sorry, in the list of her simple pleasures.
Oh, okay. I'm dumb. Yeah.
Because if it already says that she has a child in the stats, then I think that that's fine. And leaving your simple pleasures down here is also fine. Like, you're allowed to be a person more than, like being a mother doesn't just define you. You're allowed to have your other interests. You're allowed to like have all these things. It does make me think like, oh, like it would have been nice to see a picture of you with your daughter. Like, because now I'm curious, like, how old is she? And stuff like, no?
Yeah, I think it's a bad idea to include a picture with your daughter.
Really?
You can. And like when I used to be on the apps, I saw that. But just to protect your daughter's identity, I'm
so dumb. You're right.
Like, don't put the picture.
Fair enough. Maybe someone could just ask. And if she likes that person that she's talking to, she can share that information of like, because like I want to know, if she a baby, like did you just have her, or is she like 12 years old? Like I have no idea right now.
Right. To me, that's more of like I would ask out on a first date.
Okay.
Or like ask about that after the first.
Clearly, I have no experience talking to people who have kids.
Neither do I, Sania. What are you?
I'm kidding.
But I think this is solid.
Okay.
Like, it might be a little hard to respond to. It's okay. It's like, do you have a favorite place to hike? Favorite book that you've read recently?
Yeah.
It's good.
Where do you like to get your coffee?
Yeah.
It's a good coffee spot. Mm-hmm.
Okay. I think this might be the last picture.
Oh, perfect. Yeah. We have a picture with her friend to confirm that she is not a serial killer. She looks like she's on vacation. Like one good thing that we haven't commented on is that she just looks really good in like every single photo. The tattoo moved? Oh.
It's just these happen at different times. Like I went back 2 pictures. She has a shoulder tattoo. Yeah. It's not in here. Mm-hmm. So.
But
I mean, she still looks the same. It's just something I noticed. Mm-hmm. Like Detective Ethan coming out right now.
Yeah, I think she looks really good in it, and like all of these are very Instagrammable, very good photos, like individually.
Yeah.
And yeah, in terms of like a profile, we see a picture with a friend, so that's perfect. Yeah,
I think so.
I don't think it needs to be like a friend picture. Doesn't necessarily need to be like with like a whole group of people.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I get the sense overall that she likes being at home. She likes taking things very easy. She's not like always like out partying or anything. Like that's not really her vibe. Mm-hmm. And I think it's a strong profile. For me, I guess I never got that question about religion answered and exactly what she's looking for. I get the sense like she's kind of open to...
Yeah, me too. I get the sense that she's pretty carefree and she's just sharing that this is what I am.
Yeah.
In case the other person has oppositions, but she seems like pretty chill about it.
Yeah. So, good job overall. Okay. And with that, that's where we'll end the episode. And we hope that you enjoyed, and we'll catch you guys in the next one.